All right, today we're diving into some seriously cool and kind of crazy tech that keeps modern tanks in the fight. We're talking about everything from, yeah, you heard the title right, explosive sandwiches for armor, all the way to engines that are basically ripped from jet fighters. So let's get right into it.
You know, back in the early days of tank warfare, the solution for survival was pretty straightforward, just slap on more steel. But there was a huge problem. As the weapons designed to kill tanks got better and better, the tanks just got heavier and heavier and heavier. Eventually, they were so weighed down they could barely move. A real engineering nightmare.
So clearly, tank design had to get a lot smarter. And that's what we're going to explore today. We'll see how modern tanks moved away from just being thick-walled beasts. We're going to look at what smart protection really means, things like reactive and modular armor. And then we'll get into the really wild part, why some of the most powerful tanks on the planet are powered by, essentially, jet engines.
Okay, let's kick things off with protection. And believe me, the game has totally changed. I mean, steel is still the foundation, of course, but the most advanced stuff today is all about reacting to a threat, not just sitting there and taking the hit.
And first up, we have reactive armor. Now, the best way to think about this is, well, it's an explosive sandwich. No, I'm being completely serious. You've got two metal plates, and packed right in between them is a layer of high explosive. It's a pretty simple idea, but absolutely brilliant when you see how it works.
So here's the play-by-play. An incoming projectile smacks into that outer plate. That impact is just enough to set off the explosive layer inside, and that explosion, it doesn't just go everywhere, it's directed. It violently shoves the outer plate right back out, straight into the path of the incoming round. This either deflects the threat completely, or at the very least messes it up so badly it can't penetrate the tank's main hull. It's especially good against something called shaped charges. These are basically focused jets of molten metal used by missiles like the Tau and Milan.
Okay, so what's the next step in this evolution? Well, that would be active protection. The thinking here is even more ambitious. I mean, why bother deflecting a projectile when you could just, destroy it before it even gets to you? These systems use a whole suite of sensors to spot an incoming threat, and then they fire a countermeasure to intercept and destroy it in mid-air.
Sounds amazing, right? But the tech has some pretty serious flaws. For one, it's a one-shot deal. Once that countermeasure fires, that specific spot on the tank is totally vulnerable until it can be reloaded. They're also prone to false alarms. I mean, even a rock kicked up by the tracks could potentially set it off. And on top of all that, those fancy sensors, they're super fragile and stick out on the hull, making them really easy to damage from small arms fire or even just bumping into a tree.
So, if active protection is a bit finicky, what's a more practical, rugged solution? Well, that brings us to modular armor. And this is a complete change in thinking. Instead of building a tank with one solid, fixed hull, you think of its protection more like a set of high-tech building blocks that you can add, take off, or swap out whenever you need to.
The first massive benefit here is upgradability. Think about it. As armor technology gets better, and it's always getting better, you don't have to build a whole new tank. You just unbolt the old armor blocks and slap on the new, more advanced ones. It's basically plug-and-play protection.
And benefit number two, maintenance becomes so much easier. If a section of armor gets hit and damaged in combat, the whole tank doesn't have to be shipped off for weeks of complicated repairs. A crew in the field can just swap out the damage module for a new one, and boom, that tank is back in the fight way faster. Then there's the huge logistical advantage. A fully kitted out main battle tank is an incredibly heavy beast, often too heavy for most transport planes. But with modular armor, you can just take the blocks off, fly the now much lighter tank wherever it needs to go, and then simply bolt the armor back on once it gets there. It's a game changer for deployment.
All right, so we've talked a lot about protection. We've seen how modern armor helps a tank survive. But none of that matters if the tank can't get to the fight in the first place, right? So now we're going to shift gears, pun intended, and talk about power. This brings us to the really revolutionary use of gas turbine engines and what are called armored fighting vehicles, or AFVs for short. Now, to understand why this is such a big deal, you have to get one crucial thing. Inside a tank, every single cubic inch is prime real estate. The engine, the crew, the ammo, it all has to be crammed into a very tight space. And this quote from our source material just nails it. In an armored fighting vehicle, space is more valuable than weight. That's the core challenge.
And this is exactly why gas turbines are so attractive to tank designers. Just look at this comparison. For the exact same power output, a gas turbine engine takes up about half the space of a conventional diesel engine.
When space is that precious, cutting your engine volume in half is an enormous win.
And the advantages just keep stacking up. A gas turbine has about a fifth of the moving parts compared to a diesel, which means it runs smoother and is actually easier to maintain. It's also 5 to 6 times lighter. It delivers this incredible instantaneous torque, which is exactly what you need to get a 70-ton monster moving from a dead stop. Oh, and it starts up reliably even in the freezing cold. What's not to love?
Well, as with any big engineering decision, there's no such thing as a free lunch. That incredible power and that tiny size of the gas turbine? Yeah, it comes with some very, very significant trade-offs.
Let's break these down, because they're a big deal. First, it's incredibly thirsty. It just guzzles fuel, especially when it's idling. Second, it needs a massive amount of air, 4 times more than a diesel, which means it needs a huge, bulky air filtration system to go with it. It also absolutely cannot be submerged, so no deep-water river crossings. And finally, it produces an insane amount of heat, which lights it up like a Christmas tree on enemy thermal imagers. So we've gone through a whole lot of ground here, covering both modern tank protection and propulsion. Let's take a moment and just quickly recap the key takeaways.
All right, let's nail this down. Reactive armor, that's our explosive sandwich that actively fights back. Active protection, that's the system that tries to shoot down projectiles before they hit, but it's a bit fragile. Modular armor, that's your flexible plug-and-play protection. And on the power side, gas turbines, massive power in a tiny package. But the big trade-off is that they're super thirsty and have some unique vulnerabilities.
And that brings us to our final question, a really interesting one that gets you thinking. The source material asks us to consider this. We know the gas turbine engine itself is small, right? But if it requires an air cleaner that's 4 times the size of a diesel's, does that space-saving advantage of the turbine just kind of disappear once you factor in all its support systems? It's a perfect example of the complex, real-world trade-offs that engineers have to wrestle with when they're designing the future of armored warfare.